never fearing hope to be a dungeoneer, swimming in pools of gold.
This is the Guild of Dungeoneering. All across the land they're cheering, oh, to be a dungeoneer, chasing fame and glory.
So the game is split up into three parts, three real main parts, and this is your guild hall. It starts off very basic, and as time goes on it will improve. Over here what you're going to do is you're going to be bringing in new recruits, different classes as well, expanding on the loot that they'll get, and giving them some blessings to give them an edge in the dungeons. So just to show you how it looks when you do put a new card down, this is where my entrance is to my guild hall. I've got a barracks. I'm just going to put it down over here.
The one that's always left behind, the solitary lump, the pawn who's fodder for the grind, the sorry little chump.
And it starts out with the chump, but you get a whole roster of different characters with different skill abilities, and you can get different amounts of loot, all of that, and I'll show you one that I prepared earlier. So here's one that I did earlier, and got lots of different dungeoneers. Each one is effectively a different class. You can go through the different classes that you've got. Got apprentices, cat burglars, mimes, and if you click on them you can see the skills that they have, as well as any traits and any statistics. As time goes on you gain gold, which allows you to expand your guild. This allows you to unlock more dungeoneers. It allows you to unlock blessings, and allows you to unlock various different tiers of loot. There's common, uncommon, rare and epic, and I'll get into the loot and how it affects your dungeoneer once we do some exploring and we see what the missions are like. So this is pretty much this is like the most high level strategic area of the game, I guess, where you're preparing for your dungeon runs, but you're never really sure what you're gonna end up with, and once you get into a dungeon there's no way out. You either win or you die, and death in this game is permanent, as my graveyard will attest. Yes, and some of these people is completely unremarkable in every way. Oh well. Anyway, let's go exploring. Now you get to choose the class that you take in. Go with the bruiser. Yeah. Yep. Now once you're in the dungeon itself, this particular one I have an objective to complete within 8 turns, so whether I like it or not I'm gonna be having a fight. Now once I'm in a dungeon I don't actually control my dungeoneer directly. Instead what happens is I place down different cards and he decides based on what cards I play down what he wants to do. There are 3 different types of card. Room cards, which allow you to expand the dungeon. They do need to fit in the schematic, for instance, so now that I've placed this card, these are the only 2 places that this fits. I can't put it up here because it doesn't make sense, it doesn't connect properly, and you cannot expand to areas that your dungeoneer cannot currently reach. There are monster cards. Different monsters have different skills, health levels, the sort of things that they'll attack you with. And then you finally have hope cards, which is effectively just gold you use it as a bribe to get your dungeoneer to go in a particular direction. You can play 3 cards a turn, and on each room there can be 1 monster and 1 treasure card, and that's it. Combat is turn-based and card-based. There's both physical attacks, which you can see here, magical attacks, which are blue, and you'll also see special attacks, which actually the rat is playing, which allows you to do something. In this instance, if he's successful, he'll get me to drop a card that I currently have in my hand. There's also other specials like blocking an attack, unblockable attacks, cards that give you health, all sorts of crazy things. Now, let's see. It's pretty straightforward. You want to do more damage than they do. You want to kill them first. One thing to note, they always attack you first unless you have Swift. So if it means on a turn you're both gonna die, that means you both die. Now, if you are successful in combat, you get to choose some loot. You've got 4 slots to put things in, and depending on which item you choose to take on with you, it'll give you different skills. Now, this cuppa, for instance, gives you Fire 1, which is a single card for 2 magic damage. I've got a woolly hat, which gives me 1 health and gives me a stupidity card. I'm not really a fan of the stupidity cards, they just waste your turns really. And a spyglass, which is ranged. All my physical attacks are quick, plus 1 damage if they were already quick. This is actually pretty good for the bruiser, considering most of his attacks are physical. And I got a little bit of favor as well. There's been a new addition in the DLC, which basically means if I have certain amounts of favor, I can do different things, like get them to discard a card or change my cards, things like this. Now, in terms of placing down rooms, you've got to be careful because you can block yourself off and just waste time, which is not good for anyone really. Ideally, you want to make a plan of how you're going to progress and move forwards, attempting to achieve that plan. Between the rooms, you've got dead ends, corridors, and you can either have rooms that have the runes of the fates or rooms that have fountains in them. Fountains can be things that give you positive or negative effects for the next battle only. So something like predictable, which means you can see exactly what the next card your enemy is also planning on playing, or concealed, which means you can't see what he's currently playing, stuff like this. There's a wide variety of different things. So I'm just gonna lay down a few cards, move along quickly. You can play up to 3 cards a turn, doesn't mean that you absolutely have to though. Now, one of my traits is spiky, which means that when I fully block an attack, I deal an extra damage. That's a bruiser special, but you can also get it in loot. I want to explain some of how loot affects the sort of damage that you deal and the skills that you have, so I just want to get to something where I can show you. Now I can pick up another spyglass, but since I've already got one and you can't have 2, it'll just be sold for 1 gold. I can either get armor 1 and swift 1, which is pretty good, or holy 1. I'll take the bandana because the armor and the swift sort of synergize with what I've got going. Now when I get another armor card, I'll show you how that affects it. Now, let's see, again just playing quickly. These gems, not only do they help you influence your dungeoneer, but also they act as gold that you'll get to take away with you, so when it comes time to expand your guild, you've got more gold to carry around with you to do some stuff with. See, he's got a stupidity card, never good. Alright, I'm not actually going to do this, but here's an excellent example. Now the wooden board gives me armor 1, so if I didn't have the armor skill at all, I'd get my 3 shields card. But since I do actually have the 3 shields, then I get armor 1 plus armor 1 armor 2, which is the counter card, 1 shield and 2 attacks, and so on and so forth. So basically the skills will add up to a maximum of 4. So if you do get cards that are all of the same type, your skills get better. It's not like if you've got one armor 1 and then you see another armor 1, you're stuck. It's not quite like that. You can improve. You do get additional traits such as Wise, which gives you 1 starting hand size in battle, and I do like how if you hover over, you can see at a glance what you gain and what you lose. I've already got an item for the head and an item for the offhand, so I'm just going to take some gold. Right, I'm just going to play through this quickly, explain a few more details as they become relevant. So you can see there's different traits, different things happen, different special cards. It's all fine. It's not a big deal. I do love the sense of humor in this corset. Like, seriously. Why not, I guess. My bandana, spyglass and corset. It makes perfect sense. I'm not sure if this is worth it. It does make a difference. I don't think I'm going to die either way.
young Dungeoneer. You stood your ground and acted very brave. But how long before you feel the fear? And how long before you're in your grave?
I've got a love-hate relationship with that bard. I mean, so if you do succeed in finishing your dungeon run, apart from the gold you get, actually you get the gold whether you succeed or not, you just get more gold if you stay alive. Your Dungeoneer also gains what's known as battle scars. Now a Dungeoneer can have up to 2 battle scars, and these just change the way that they play. So this particular one is convinced they cannot lose, so they seek out higher level monsters. Now this does make a difference since you can't directly control your Dungeoneer. If you're going to put down 2 monsters, be aware that he's going to go for the one that's more likely to get him killed now. As before, he'd just be, he wouldn't be quite so suicidal. And this happens to be a staged battle scar. So this is the early stage. If he survives some more, or if she survives some more, considering her name's Nancy and she's got the boobs, then you know that's going to progress. And staged battle scars tend to be a double-edged sword. On the one hand, they do have a positive effect, and then they have a pretty bad negative effect as well. And that's pretty much the basic cycle. As the game goes on, you unlock more Dungeoneers, you go exploring. As you succeed, you unlock more dungeons, you get more money, rinse and repeat. And the plot is basically to do with how you got kicked out of another guild for being too stupid, too evil, one or the other. So you've decided to make your own guild to show them jerks a thing or two. And there will be blood, just not yours. And you don't mind graveyards being filled with your followers, because in the end, they're not you. Now that's a pretty big overview of how the game works, and if you've got any questions still, if you're unsure of whether you should get the game, then I'd say, you know, if you like strategic games, if you like card games, if you like dungeon crawlers, if you like casual games, something that you can sort of play for 10-15 minutes so you can put longer sessions into, you should probably get this. Also, if you enjoy games that have a unique take on an old genre and put a new spin on it, there's definitely something to get. And I personally recommend getting the DLC as well with the soundtrack, because that bard is epic.